Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. We're going to have a training this morning on EMIS and the payroll and how it works together. So I hope everybody's enjoying the rainy morning, but we'll go ahead and get started. So I apologize on some of you might have one of the PowerPoints that have the 26th down here. I guess I was wishing it was Friday a lot sooner, so I apologize for the date if you get one with the wrong date. Right. So first off, for some of our new people that aren't sure what EMIS really is, EMIS stands for Education Management Information System. So EMIS data files, excuse me, are the source for the Ohio's accountability and funding system. So the four functions are for state and funding reporting, funding and distribution of payments, academic accountability, and general statewide and district reports. So the source of this, there's a link there if you ever want to go to it. So what it does is the community, ultimately for the community, reporting accurate data provides the community with a complete picture of how the district is serving its children. As for the children, how it affects them, it results in opportunities and services that enable students to achieve. And then legally, because EMIS reporting is essential, superintendents, treasurers, and districts have specific legal obligations concerning reporting responsibilities. So there are two different collection requests for the staff course data set, or ELF. For those of you who have ever logged into Data Collector, they have those letters for different reporting data sets. So one that opens in the fall, which opened already on the 4th of this month, and one that opens over the winter. All the staff course and records are reported during these collections. Data from the first collection is more for the proper certification and licensing measures for the local report cards. So most of the data input and editing needs to be done in initial. So we want to make sure your employees are set up correctly, being reported with the correct, maybe position code, status, that type of thing. So the student and staff calendar collection dates, I have listed the dates for the initial and for the final. Not that any of these dates aren't, all of them aren't important, but the one that I always key in on is the final reporting period, because we have to make sure, first of all, everything's correct by then, but second of all, we need to know when we need to start changing things for the new year. So one of our tips is, this is a link to our EMIS, the dues EMIS manual. And I will be referring a lot to this chapter in the manual, chapter 3, for staff records. If you ever go in here, which I encourage you to do when your EMIS coordinator comes to you and tells you, hey, we have a CI error, or we have a CK error, this can help you determine what they're trying to tell you in that foreign language. So you would click for fiscal year 26, the highlighted parts. You'll mainly stick, we're going to more focus on the CI and CK records in this training. So that would be chapter 3.3 and 3.4 you're going to refer to. And again, you'll see where I refer to this chapter moving on into our presentation. Okay. I have a blank page somehow. So EMIS reporting tips. Don't wait till the last minute to review your district's data. That just puts more pressure on you, your EMIS coordinator, and the data collector, actually. You want to do submissions often and make sure everything is clean, because if you wait till the last minute for a lot of this to do these submissions, it takes a lot longer for them to process, because everybody's waiting till the last minute. So it's bogged down. So if you need to make corrections and submit again, that's a lot of time wasted that you want to get settled, because if there's a deadline, it's cut off, it's cut off. Okay. So your EMIS coordinator uses some language that might seem foreign to you. And I just wanted to let you know, CI is strictly your employee record. Your CK, when they reference CK, it's either going to be your position or compensation record. Okay, so for those who remember Classic, the CK, the position and the compensation records were kind of one and the same back in the day. So, but now it's split out. So CK is for position or compensation records. For an employee to be properly reported to EMIS, the employee record, all reportable positions, and their corresponding compensations need to be flagged as reportable to EMIS. One problem that we've ran into with errors, believe it or not, is any extra spaces in text fields can cause errors. We had one employee that we could not figure out what was wrong, and we had to call in the SSDT, and it found out that there was an extra space before their ID, their credential ID, and that threw it all off. So it's something as simple as that. So that's something to look at if you ever have an error referring to the employee screen. Communicate with your treasurer periodically. You want to do this because employees who retire or resign is always presented at board meetings. Therefore, your treasurer might know ahead of time, oh, such and such is retiring at the end of this school year, or, this aide quit. You need to know that information to keep up on it, not at the end of the school year. And then you might have to do overrides or something. So after a board meeting, put it on your checklist for the month when you close out. Check with treasurer for board meeting. Has anybody retired, rehired? Okay. But that goes for the treasurers who might be on this too. You let them know, hey, these are the resignations we approved over at the board meeting last night, or the retirements. It's a two-way street. So we encourage there to be open communication between the treasurer and the person who enters that information. This has always messed people up, this last bullet. You will use the last day worked as the separation date. If they took a vacation day, a sick day, a personal day, it's still considered their last day work because they were paid for that day. So if a teacher says, I'm retiring at the end of this school year, the last day of school is May 31st, that is her separation date and reason. Separation date, I apologize. It does not affect her being paid out over the summer for her contract if that's what she chooses to do. This is just a date and and you would also enter a reason, obviously, but to let them know when's the last day this person worked on the job. They already know the contract amount, so they know what you're paying them. So that's not an issue. Let's see. Where's the proper records be flagged? Okay. So let's move on. If an employee resigned or retired in the current fiscal year, so I'm done teaching May 31st, 2026. You know this before that August 5th pay date, closing date for the final submission. You will go in there, enter May 31st as separation date and whatever reason, retirement, and leave the status as a C. Once the final staff course collection has closed, then you can go in and totally shut them off as being reported to EMIS. Now, the only thing I ask of you is before you do that you ask your EMIS coordinator if they plan on filing any appeals. Because if that's the case, you can't move on with the checklist that I usually provide at the end of the fiscal year for you for EMIS. And this being one of them, you have to leave this person as flagged with C until you know that for sure. Okay. If you should happen to miss reporting an employee who left May 31st of 2025 on the final fiscal 25 submission for final staff course and collection, you will still need to enter your separation date and reason as normal, the correct separation date, the last day worked, not the last day paid, not the retirement date on a retirement letter or resignation letter. You still need to enter the correct date, the last day they worked, but you're going to change the status to you. Okay. Once 2026 final staff course and collection has closed and your coordinator, EMIS coordinator tells you I'm not filing an appeal, then you would shut them off for that. And again, these chapters are just everything I'm telling you right now. You can go into these and see this information, what I'm telling you. Okay. Okay. If you are 2 fiscal years out, so it's the end of 2026, you didn't report someone who left in 2024, you will need to do a staff override. Now, when I say you, I mean the EMIS coordinator will request this override by creating a spreadsheet and they upload it into the data collector. Now, the SSDT recommends that districts run the EMIS data collection reports for employee and position. This is found in your reports menu, EMIS report, and then there's a little caret for the EMIS data collection report. And I'm going to show you, if I can, what this looks like. Oh, oops, shrink down, got to escape. So, oh wait. Okay, so reports, EMIS reports, EMIS data collection report. And you can run it any way you want. And then you generate the employee and the position report. So I don't know if I'm going to get a position report. This is just a demo I've spun up. Let's see if anything pops up on it. Oh, cool, it does. Not much, but it does. All right. So this is what it would look like, the report. And there's a section over here, and there's a section on the employee as well that has, if they have messages, it would be over here. Okay. One thing I will tell you, and again, this is demo, so it says 01. When you look at different errors from the data collector, this position will be the number of the position and a letter. So if it's position 1, it will be 1A. If you scroll through and you see B's, you're reporting 2 compensations for the same position, and you need to figure out which one should not be being reported. Okay. All right, let's go back to here. Pop it back up. There we go. And here is one of an employee record, a report that I grabbed. See error. The error says this employee will not be reported to EMIS. An error occurred while gathering EMIS data. Please contact your ITC. So send us a ticket, tell us the employee name, because it does tell you the employee name, and tell us what, that you got an error on, you got to be specific, the employer position, and we will look in to try to help you figure out what's going on that. So you want to take the time. It doesn't take long to scroll through, because if it's blank, you have no errors, which is a good thing. Okay. Okay, reporting staff to EMIS. Do we have any questions before I move on to this portion about any of the tips, comments, things that you do that's a tip that might help anybody else? Okay, so let's see who gets reported to EMIS. Okay, you will find everything that I'm showing you again, EMIS Manual 3.1 on pages 4 and 5. So individuals employed by the reporting entity for any portion of the school year. So if they're paid in this fiscal year, you're going to report them. Individuals or companies contracted by the school district for duties normally performed by school district personnel. This is more along your lines of your CJ and CC records, which I'm not really going to touch on because that's could be a training all itself if you have that. Individuals who are on leave of absence. Substitutes who become the teacher of record on one or more courses, not substitutes in general, just substitutes who become the teacher of record for long-term absences from other employees. Individuals employed during the previous year who are no longer employed and have not yet been reported as separated. So this includes individuals who resigned over the summer. So touching back on that date of a separation date, if they resign, if they're not working over the summer, but they resigned over the summer, their separation date is still the last day they physically worked, took a sick day, vacation day, personal day. You know, that is their separation date, regardless of when they resigned. So you'd still report those because now you have to report them with a U status. Individuals employed through supplemental contracts, including individuals whose only position is a supplemental contract. So which staff should not be reported to EMIS? Daily as needed substitutes, student employees, Board of Education members, adult education teachers, game officials, ticket takers, part-time help, so those that are non-employees who work sporadically. And they always give this example that someone who, for a play, we paid them part-time to come in and help build a set for the play, or, you know, be one of the orchestra accompaniment for these plays or productions. So they aren't your permanent employee. And then volunteers serving in the district. Fiscal errors. So here, this basically, what I'm going to go through now is going to basically be what is on my checkout off list when I do the fiscal year end payroll training and I hand you a separate check off list. This is usually where, if you don't do that list, you're going to have your errors. So first thing, and usually to treasurers only, unless they've given this privilege to somebody else in the treasurer's office, you need to go in and change the fiscal year to the new fiscal year date after the final submission has closed for the previous fiscal year. So failure to update this will result in incorrect data, errors, and you'll omit new hires. Anybody you hired that's new for this fiscal year that wasn't here last year. And this is usually the leading cause of errors in the data collector. So that's one of the first things we tell you to do. Unflag previous fiscal year compensations. Now, the reason why I'm telling you to unflag it at first is because you are still paying on contracts in August. Even if the final staff course collection has closed and you're now reporting for 2026, you never want to archive your compensations until you're done paying them off from the previous year. So this is why I like you to just go in and unflag them so they're not reported when the new one opens, the new collection opens. Increment years of experience. This is missed a lot. So there is a low definition for this. And one of the biggest problems we've had with people doing this, and it's basically a lot of turnover in the treasurer's office. But when you do this, the total years of experience and authorized has to be greater than 0 for this mass change to work. Okay, there's the low definition down here. If you don't see this, just put a ticket into F-Staff. We'll make sure it gets imported into your instance for this. But you do this first. Then you go back and see the ones that either have a blank field or a 0 and manually update them. You never want to manually update and then do this. Yes, and there's a video out there too that can help you, and I'll show you that link to a lot of these in a minute. So clear the EMIS override fields on the position records. Now, a lot of people aren't aware of how this works, and this is more geared toward the newer people. These fields on the position screen in the EMIS-related information that are highlighted, these are override fields. If you don't have anything in these fields, the full-time equivalence is pulled from the top section of the position screen. The contract amount, work days, and hour in the days are on your compensation record. But if you need to report something different, excuse me, this is where you would override what's on the compensation record. Now, that doesn't mean you unflag the compensation record as reportable to EMIS. You still have to keep it flagged, but this is override. There's a few times that you will use this, and one of them being maybe a mid-year contract change. You don't keep both of those compensations flagged to report to EMIS. You would have to come in here and combine the old and the new for this information. There again, there's a low definition. It's an SSDT1, so everybody should have that. Pardon me. Okay. The employee record, and I brought this up in a previous slide. The spaces in this field can cause errors. So one of the things I like to do to double check when there's an error is I'll highlight the number here, copy it, then erase, wipe it out, delete it. I'll tab over, tab back, which is Shift Tab, and it takes you back a field, and then Control V and paste. So that way I know there's no space there. It's just something we found that works for us. Another thing is to make sure that this report to EMIS field, box is checked. Continuing, so you need authorized years, principal experience, total experience. Of course, if you have the incorrect data in the principal experience field, it will, you'll report the wrong information. So authorized years are all teachers reported with position codes 212 or 230. The total experience field, this element is reported for licensed employees, include both authorized and non-authorized years of licensed education service. Total experience years should include a staff member's experience in all of the following: elementary schools, secondary schools, colleges and universities, and any other public or non-public educational institution, Peace Corps active duty service with a maximum of 5 allowable years for that. So what I'm reading off to you right now, you will find in that chapter of that EMIS manual. So state reporting. In the state reporting section, you cannot leave this ECE qualification blank. You have to have at the very least NA not applicable. Okay, it's never blank. Degree type, long-term illness, the only time you should ever see anything here is when you add it at the end of the fiscal year for your final collection. Non-certificated, this field is for all classified. This number will be automatically created when you add a new employee. You do not put a number in there. The system takes care of that. If you've added a degree here, you need to have semester hours in here. And this is again for certificated employees. Okay. Now, if you have a non-certificate employee and they become certified, you would leave that here and you'd enter the new credential ID at the top. And then the first time there's a collection made after that, we have to wait till the collection said that this person is missing before we can ask for an override for this. And it's very simple. If you only have one person, we could do that. But if you have multiple, you have to put in a spreadsheet for us with the employee's name, IRN, and old and new ID numbers. So the ZID number and the OH credential ID number. Do we have any questions on any of that you want me to go over again? Okay.
Well, Missy, I have a question for you. So you said the authorized experience should only be reported for employees that have a 220 or 212?
212 or 230.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question. Anybody else have any other questions?
I do. We hired a new instructional aide. And when I first put her in the system, I did not have her certificate. And then, so it assigned a ZID number. And then I've got her certificate, which I now have put in on her employee record.
Okay.
This will be the first time she's being reported. Will Cindy, our EMIS person, need to do something special?
If Cindy will probably come to you about it when she does her first collection. She may not have done it yet because this person will show as missing because you have two different ID numbers and it's going to look at that credential ID number first.
Okay.
So, but it's going to say, hey, but I'm missing such and such. I'm looking for this ZID number for this person. So when that happens, it's very simple. Jody, just put a ticket into us, provide us with, what you just told me. Just quickly tell us that the employee number, the ZID number, which is the old number, the new credential ID number that you input, and your IRN.
Okay.
Okay. If you provide us all that information, it just makes it quicker for us to log on and then we request that override. And it takes usually they'll get back to us in like within a day but you have to usually wait like a day for the system to totally update. So you might have to wait a day to do a new collection to see that they're no longer missing.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question.
Was that Jen? Okay, there's a chat list.
Okay, there's someone in chat. So there's two actually. Let me scroll down to the middle. If the semester hours are blank, can I add those in now without any issues? I'm surprised you haven't received an error. Okay, meaning, will I get errors because it was blank first and the new numbers are in there? I'm surprised that you had a degree type. Are we talking about a certificated employee? Okay, so you should have, if you had a degree type, I'm surprised you didn't get anything for an error for the semester hours. I say put them in there. I'd rather be safe than sorry and add those in there. Okay, thanks, Jenny. Anyone else?
Melissa, I've got a question. It goes back a couple slides. I probably should have interjected at that point, but it had to do with contracted people.
Are we on who's reported? Can you tell me the page number and I'll go back to it?
I'm trying to find real quick.
Okay.
Do you Lindy's saying page 8.
8.
Individuals or companies contracted by the school district for duties normally performed by school district personnel, bus drivers, food service staff, and special education therapists.
Yes.
So we have a psychologist that we contract through the ESC.
Okay.
Are we supposed to have her in there?
No, the ESC reports her.
Okay.
Okay.
And then
go ahead.
And then we have a like food service staff. So we have like we have the nutrition group that has an on-site person here.
Uh-huh.
Does that person get reported?
Do you pay them for their services?
We pay it through payables from an invoice from the nutrition group.
Then no.
Okay.
We're not paying them.
We've never done it in the past, but when you said that, I was just wanting to confirm.
Right. Okay. Does that help you?
Yep. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question. I appreciate it. I like questions, the ones I can answer. Okay. So any other questions before I move on? Okay. So I believe I was on page 14. No, 15. All right. So the employee CI screen. This information on here is just to kind of give you a little explanation of some of those fields that we discussed, where in the manual you can find it and what page you're going to find it on. So if you get any errors that talk about some of these things, I've given you the reference to go back and look in the chapters so you can see you know, because they're going to be the most up to date. I mean, let's be honest, they make the manual, so they'll keep it up to date better than I would be up to date probably. So the ESC is required for preschool, otherwise it's not applicable. Degree type, semester hours. And Jenny, that's one thing, if you want to bookmark that manual and go to 3.3, page 10, it will help. Long-term illness, that's not something you do till the end of the year, because you would add. So if someone missed 15 days in October and 15 days in April, when you report long-term illness, it would be 30 days. So that's why you wait till the end of the school year to actually plug that number in. Okay, separated district. Oh yeah. If an employee was missed being reported separated, and we talked about that more than 2 years. So, okay. Position record. All right. The hire date is important because this is, and I don't understand this. I didn't write the software. I just try to support it to the best of my ability. When they say a start date is missing on a CK record, if they're talking about the position record, they're talking about the hire date. I know that sounds silly. I think it's silly, but there you have it. So up here, the extended service, by the way, is only for ESC personnel. FTE for the position is here, but again, you can override that in those fields that I showed you previously. Okay, so the value is used in the data collector right here. If you want to report it, obviously the override fields. The termination date is the date that this job was terminated. Okay, this date is used as a stop date when they're counting the EMIS attendance days to report to EMIS. So it's very important to enter a termination date on the position itself. Okay, so if there's no position termination date entered, it will look at the employee screen if applicable for the termination date. And if there's not one there, then it looks at the calendar stop date on the compensation record. And if there's not one there, they go to the compensation stop date on the compensation record. And then if you don't have any of those added, then it will use that EMIS fiscal year stop date, which is 6/30. So you want to be very careful to enter termination dates, or at the very least, because it will default to the compensation calendar date that you enter a calendar stop date on that compensation record, because you want to report accurate days for the attendance. Oops, went too far. Story of my life. Okay, so again, these are your override fields. I mean, in the EMIS related information. The separation reason field cannot be left blank. You just would want to select their new employee, just it's not applicable at this time. So you have to make sure you're something there. The full-time equivalency, again, this is an override field for this one. The special education full-time equivalence field contains the full-time equivalency of the position assignment for the EMIS reporting purposes. And again, the separation field cannot be left blank. And this is another error we get sometime, is the funding source. How are they being funded, and how much of their pay is being charged off there? If it's not 100, you're going to have to add second. They have to equal up to 100. Okay. So the position screen, again, the higher start dates, certificated license or classified, position code, position type, position status. You'll notice all the CK and all their records are in chapter 3.4, whereas the employee is 3.3. So this gives you the opportunity to, well, okay, why are we going that way? To read more on it, because I couldn't put it all in here, or you'd have a thick book and you wouldn't pay attention to it. I know what I would do, so. Okay, let me see. One more question. Does the special education FTE field have to be filled in for all special ed teachers? Well, That's a good question, Jenny. That's a very good question. So, you know what we're going to do? Let's see, chapter 3.4, 17 to 18. Let's see. Go to our manual, scroll down, and it said let's see, position special, 3.4, staff employment. Click here. Pages 17 to 18. So I'll just, don't get dizzy. Sorry. Reason 17, 18. Oh, got a couple more to go. I thought it was close. Special education. So here's your instructions on this. So general rules for calculating this element are the same as the rules for the position FTE, with the exception that the only time related to special education would be included. So time included for these calculations should include activities and services that are not routinely provided to all students. For example, a school counselor who provides college admission assistance to all students would not include the time providing the same assistance to students with disabilities as part of this FTE. So I guess the full-time equivalency is, say, 1, but only X amount of time is with students that are special ed. So it wouldn't always equal the same. Just how much of that FTE is for special ed? Yeah, and so you should be filling it in for special ed teachers. You just, if that's their all day thing, then it would match FTE. But if they do something like this example, only part of the time, then it would not be a 1. Does that help, hun?
Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself.
That's okay.
So all special ed teachers need to have, if they are strictly special ed, in that EMIS related information, there should be a 1 there.
If they teach special education all day, if there's 7 hours in a day and they teach special education children for 7 hours, then it would be a 1. But if it's only half day, then it would be 0.5, like 3.5 hours, then it would be 0.5.
That's great. Okay.
Okay, so they have a little bit more information down here for you in this chapter. Like I said, I highly recommend you bookmark this manual because, as you could see, it gives you so much more in-depth definition. So, and another thing, while I'm in here, I'll point out to people, when your EMIS coordinator comes to you and says they have an error, ask them on the level 1 report what the error number is. Is it a CK and then numbers or CI numbers? Because see this right here for special education? These are the numbers they're seeing when they see errors. So if they tell you this, you can easily find, okay, what it's referring to, what should be in there compared to what you have in there. So I highly recommend this. I have it bookmarked myself. So when you put in tickets, I can refer to this quickly. So,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. Anybody else with any other questions? Okay, let's go back to the slide. Maybe. There we go. So we did all this already. Assignment area, okay. All right, so on your compensation record, you heard us reference these dates. Their dates are very, very important. You should always have compensation start and stop dates, even on non-contracts. Because if someone's being paid on a non-contract, but they're being reported to EMIS, these dates are important. It helps with the EMIS attendance, reporting to EMIS attendance. So compensation start and stop date, hours in a day, and we'll talk about that in a few more slides, but this field is extremely important. And also the contract work days. So down below on the compensation record, you want to make sure the box reportable to EMIS is checked. Once you've reported a compensation, the system automatically enters a contract code here. So if this is position 1, it's going to say 1A. Now, if I still have another one that I have flagged as reportable to EMIS from last year, it's going to say 1B. And I'm going to know that's an issue right there. I need to go and unflag the previous compensation. And the calendar start and stop dates again. Work days. You want to enter them as work days. So I work, those are my dates, so you can do that. So again, hours in a day, it's tied to that FTE. Here's where you'll find them in the manual. So the calendar start and stop date. We've talked about those before. The first day the employee actually works, stop date, the last physical day they work. These are basically, these one is matched up with the job calendar, for lack of a better way to put that. Okay. Okay, do all of the fields get completed for both contract and non-contract? Yes. It is, let me go back to that. Oops. Contract or non-contract, this and this is very important. You aren't going to have contract work days on a non-contract because it's not scheduled work. So that's fine. But you still need to do the reportable to EMIS and the calendar dates. Is that good, Denise? Did I give you what you needed? Good. All right. All right, so let me move back to where we were. So, and we've discussed this before for your payroll people. These dates are important calendar stop dates because EMIS uses them, ODJFS uses them, as well as SCRS and STRS. So, footnote, archived compensations will not be reported. Now, we had an issue, I think it was last year, that somebody archived at a compensation and it somehow was getting pulled in. I think you had the ticket, Miss Eve, I'm not sure. But if you unflag them when you're supposed to before you finish paying off those contracts, this will not affect you if there was a bug for archiving. So that's why I have you do both. There's on that list. I know it seems redundant, but there is a reason for my madness. Okay. So this is from the SSDT documentation. I wanted to give you their words. I'm not going to read through this, but these dates are to count absences for employees for the fiscal year too. It does help. So here's where that hours in the day come in. If you have hourly employees, they obviously when you enter attendance and absences, they're entered in hours. But they need them in days. So the system will go out and look at the hours, the length of attendance divided by hours in day to get the number of days they've worked, okay, or they've missed. So in the process, and again, the first place it's going to look is your position, EMIS related information, hours in a day. That's an override field. So that's why it's going to go there first. Did you enter anything in the override field first? And if there's nothing there, then it's going to default to your compensation record hours and day field. So again, that field is very important for not just EMIS, that's the training today, but also for your retirement. If you do need to make adjustments, you can do core adjustments, and then you have type EMIS attendance or EMIS absence that you can adjust. The transaction needs to fall within the EMIS fiscal year, which is 7/1 to 6/30. So this stuff that you see on this screen is more geared towards in the final course collection. That's when it really starts looking at attendance and absences because your year's over for the most part, your school year. So some differences in terminology. So we say hours in a day, EMIS says length of workday. We say contract work days, they call them scheduled work days. We say pay unit, they say pay type. We say contract amount, they call it pay amount / rate. I say tomato, you say tomato. So just to help you with the terminology, because payroll, we don't deal with this all the time. So when your EMIS coordinator comes at you and, oh, the length of work days or the pay type, and you're like, what the heck are you talking about here? So Okay, so again, data collector, the tip, level 1 validations will reference data elements errors. And I mentioned that as I had that pulled up with a prefix of CI for the employee screen or CK for the position or compensation record. These error codes can be found in the due EMIS manual. So I gave you a little snapshot here of description CI070. Well, it tells you right here what's the problem, but if it were something else, you could go to this manual and see right here and read up on what the issue is. Same thing for this one down here, CI 200. Well, authorized teaching years experience, something's off there. And these are just warnings that they're showing you. They don't prevent the submission. And then also to point out, this is what's really reported for the initial, and this is what's reported for final. So again, we spoke about absence, attendance days. Those ones aren't really paid attention to until the final. So do we have any questions before I move on to the next slide? Okay. So reporting staff for EMIS. I have a scenario for you, and we've seen this over the past year or two being more prevalent. So the scenario, you have an employee who teaches phys ed 3.5 hours a day at West Elementary and 3.5 days at East Elementary. How do you set this employee up correctly? Does anybody know? Want to chime in? I'll save you a donut at the next meeting. Okay, I'll save you a seat in the back row at the next meeting. They can't be bought. Dang it. Okay. So you would set up 2 positions and 2 compensation records for this employee, one for each building, because the IRN is different. It might be teaching the same thing, the same position code, all that might be the same, but it's important to report them for the correct IRN. So you would have to set up 2 different positions. Now, there are 2 different ways you can pay this person. You can either, now you have to set up the compensation records, but you can either pay from one compensation, which can be done by using the override fields on each of the positions. So you put in contract amount, so half of their contract work days are the same, hours in a day with 3.5, full-time equivalency is 0.5. Okay, you would do that. And you'd have the compensation record for the whole amount. So if they're being 30,000 for each building at 60,000, you can still use that compensation record for 60,000 and pay them from there, one compensation. The only thing I want to call to your attention is if you, and a lot of schools do this, you have different OPUs for each school. So you have to split out the payroll accounts to 50% for each school. So it's charged off correctly. Okay. The other one would be a non-contract to a default calendar. So, but again, you use the override fields for all the information for contract work days, hours in a day, contract amount, full-time equivalency. Or you can set up each compensation for $30,000 and they're separate. Now, I personally, and I think Missy agrees, we prefer you pay from a separate compensations. What if something happens, they don't want to teach at one of the schools anymore, they only want to teach part-time. Well, now you're trying to separate out this compensation, okay? Maybe a phys ed teacher isn't the best example, but if they quit one of those jobs and it's all tied together in one compensation, it makes it just a little bit more difficult. The other reason, what was the other reason I thought of too that I would want separate compensation records to be paid out? I can't remember what it was. I thought of it when I was getting ready this morning.
I don't remember, or I don't know, but I would just say, in my eyes, when I'm looking at it, it's easier to see.
Yeah.
Position compensation.
Yeah. So, and they all have to, regardless, they all have to be reportable to EMIS because obviously for each position, reporting them for each IRN position, contract amount and such. So does anybody have any questions about that? I know that one's a little more,
Clearing the override too. You
yeah,
gotta remember to clear it if you do something like that.
yeah. And Missy brought up a very good point. And I know we went over it already. If you decide to pay from one position, you have to be very careful when I tell you to do your EMIS checkoff list after the final course collection to clear these override fields. If you don't clear these override fields, you're reporting the same information year after year. They're getting raises, making more, but you're not getting credit, if you will, that you are paying them more. So it kind of affects the reporting. So is there any questions on that one? No? Okay.
Yes, there is one.
If a teacher has a supplemental position, do they need to have an FTE for the supplemental? And I was just reading that. Where was it at? The supplemental. Let me find that. You know what? Let's see if I can find. Let's go here. So we're talking, sorry, it's going fast, ignore it. So we're in the CK record. I want to ask about FTE. Position status element is 15. Let's see if it's on the position status or not status type.
11, page 11 too. Check out.
Oh, 11.
That's the FTE.
Okay, we're going to check two places, 11 and 16. So I apologize for the fast scrolling. I am 11. Yep, there we go. Okay, the ratio between the normal from part-time number represents to the number of hours. The FTE is okay. FTE, a full-time teacher, a district, 2 bus driver, supervisor, FTE. Okay, so that didn't help me. So let me go down to page 16 and see. I just read this somewhere and it's just not position type regular stuff. Employees who are hired under supplemental contract provide service such as, yeah, that helped a lot. Okay, I just saw it we went to a OME-RESA last week, as you guys know, and we sat in on another person from fiscal and EMIS person do together a presentation. So I have their handout as well. So common, okay, what's it matter? Does she say anything? Position code, FTE based on contracts, since there are no full-time jobs, just stipends. So I think that reads meaning you put a 1 for the stipend. How would you interpret that, Miss? FTE is based on contract.
Based on the contract.
So does that mean it uses the contract, or since these are not full-time jobs,
It's not
the
really
stipends?
exactly, it's a stipend. Not
You know
really-
what,
Well,
Amanda, I'm going to check into that for you, because that is not as clear as I thought it would be. So FTE for supplemental. Okay. I'm going to get that information for you, Amanda, and I will send you a ticket with that information. You're welcome. Thanks for the question. We all can learn together. Okay. So current slide, let's go back to where we were. All right. So I asked you if you had questions. So something they did at OME-RESA, and I thought it was kind of cute. And you could tell me if you get the answer to, it's just, if you don't know the answer, that's fine. If you don't want to participate, that's fine. But we had a couple questions that was true and false. We won candy, so you know I was all about that. Oh, wait. I believe our EMIS court told me that you have to have an FTE for all supplementals regardless of the position of the person with supplemental. But I'm interested in what you've absolutely. Then you know what, since there's Denise, I see yours too. I'll send out a mass email to the payroll or mailing list so you can all see the answer to that question. So while I'm thinking about it, give me one quick second. I am going to, where's that? Yeah, that was a very good question. Where is it? Oh, there it is. I'm going to snag your question so I can ask it correctly. Okay. Keep the picture. Yes. Shrink this down. All right. Okay. So let me ask you a question. Who you can have a prize. Here's your prizes. I can save you a back row seat at one of the meetings because those fill up the fastest, or I can save you a specific donut, or I can have Lori deliver you your coffee at the meeting. She is the hostess with the mostest, let me tell you. Okay, so what determines the EMIS fiscal year and the dates used for the collection? So what determines our EMIS fiscal year when we're reporting? Does anybody know that answer? You can look back in your presentation if you have to. Kim, you gonna tell me?
Well, I update the fiscal year once my EMIS coordinator says that the prior year's closed.
And where do you go to do that?
In system configurations.
You won, so you can either have a backseat, a donut, or a cup of coffee delivered to you at our next meeting. Your choice, just let me know.
Okay, I will let you know.
Okay, and I'll save a seat for everybody in your district if you choose the back row.
We'll
Okay,
do that. Yeah, save us 3 seats.
okay, you got it. Okay, so is true or false? Marking an employee as archived keeps everything from being in the collection. Now, marking the employee as archived. Go ahead, Jenny. I think you had the answer, didn't you?
False or true?
Yes, you were correct. So when employees is archived, the employee along with the employee's position and compensation will not be included. So good job. So you got to tell me what you want when you come to the next meeting. Okay?
Days off and a raise in pay.
Okay. I don't have that much power because if I did, I'd have more days off and a raise in pay. I don't know why I'm doing this. I think I'm crazy sometimes. Okay, let's see. True or false? The counting of days for a non-contract compensation is the same as a contract compensation. True or false? They're the same or they're different?
Same.
You are correct again. Okay, you're going to get you're going to get the trifecta. If you get one more right, you're going to get the seats, the donut, and the coffee. Okay, so let's see. Staff working under a long-term substitute license are reported to the same as a regular teacher in EMIS. Is that true or false? Long-term substitute license,
True.
staff working. You got the
True.
trifecta, girlfriend. Thank you.
Woohoo, woohoo.
Whoop, whoop. So I think that's all I had now for the
Shelley's,
marking and okay.
Miss,
No, I didn't. Let's see. Oh, Shelley Schott, thank you for sharing. She put, I had to put a 1 in FTE for supplemental positions for full-time staff members because we got an error until I put that FTE in. So their supplemental shows as FTE as 1. And it kind of makes sense because it is, regardless of how many hours or how many days, you know what I mean? It's like a contract. You have to do all of this and so I'll still double check on all that, but I agree with Shelley if my educational guess there. Oh, and look, Lori just added something she found.
Came from the EMIS manual 3.4.
Okay, Lori found this in the EMIS manual 3.4 where? What page? Page 3. Supplemental positions. A regular teacher functions 2 periods per day as a teacher. She also has a supplemental contract for an assistant athletic director position, which has traditionally been a separate job. One staff employment CK record is to be reported for his/her regular position, and one staff employment CK record is to be reported for the supplemental position. Report 2 positions for the staff member, one for each staff employment CK record. The position FTE element is to be reported accordingly for each position for each record. See the position FTE, it doesn't really say one, but
It does say it has to.
it
you
does have
put
to,
an
it's
FT.
saying you have to be something, but I agree with Shelley. That's what I would think it is, the one. So, but I'll confirm that because I don't want you to just take my word for it. So, do we have any other questions, any other concerns? It doesn't have to be on the PowerPoint EMIS. It could be any other EMIS. I don't want to kick you out too soon. I mean, but if you have things to discuss, it's a roundtable. Let's discuss. Anybody?
Anyone have any? Another question.
Okay, so on the EMIS employee report, I have an error that this employee will not be reported to EMIS. An error occurred gathering. Okay, so send a ticket, Kathy, and we'll go into, there's a thing that we do. It's called debugging, and only we can do it at the ITC level. And we'll try to figure out why you're getting those for those employees. Is it just the employee, Kathy, or is there position 2 as well?
I have several employees like that.
Okay. Did you get a chance to run the position one yet?
I did.
And do you have the errors on there as well?
No errors.
Okay, so what narrows it down for me. I know it's on the employee record. I know the CK could be position or compensation, but yeah.
Okay.
Put a ticket in and we'll look into that for you.
Do you want me to upload the report?
As long as there's no social security numbers on it, yes. I don't think there is. I think it's ID numbers, but
It's just employee number and EMIS ID. And name.
okay, perfect. Yes,
All
you
right.
can attach that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anybody else have anything?
I got a question.
Sure.
We had a rehire teacher this year.
Okay.
We didn't have anything in the authorized experience and total experience and stuff. So we put something in without, is there a way without asking the person themselves, like to figure out those years? Like, can I go to like core and see how long they've had a license? Or do I need to ask them how many true teaching years they have or what?
Would there be anything in their personnel file when they were hired? Like when we hire here in Angie and Adam, they take the resume of that person and they'll write on there how many years of experience to give them and, like that kind of stuff. So, and then from there, you would count how many years she's worked for you. You know what I mean? So what was she hired?
Yeah, she retired from someplace else. So she's brand new to our district. And they didn't give us that probably because in our negotiated agreement, any rehire starts at a specific, like at step 0 of wherever their education's at. So to get authorized, unless I can pull the resume and basically try to go back if they've listed every single teaching job they've had. But I just didn't know if you knew of any other way.
Well, let me ask you this, Kim. You said something, it's in your negotiated contract. What happens when one of your own rehires? Do you change their authorized and total years? Because really, that's not for your salary schedule.
We've really never allowed this before.
Oh.
We don't usually do rehire, but there's been a couple of situations recently that we've done this.
Okay, let me see something because I had authorized total for only license includes both authorized and non-authorized. Total should include a staff member in all elementary. The total is all of their experience. So this is for reporting, EMIS reporting. So I would think you'd want to have their true experience in there because I think what they're looking for in these reports, the level of education, the years of experience, they're trying to, do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like they want to know the teachers who are teaching in your district, how much experience do they have? Are these kids coming right out the college or have you been teaching for a while? Or I think that is different than like salary because I think your years of
Right. I
experience
was
is
just
more
saying,
for
yes.
salary.
I guess that's probably why we haven't gotten it. So that's why I
Yes.
was like, ugh, is there a way for me to get it without too much?
Oh, I hear you. And you know what? I had these in my notes. So let me see if I can give me one
Because I
quick.
think what I did for like authorize, I went to um, the core and saw how long she was licensed. I mean,
Oh,
that's probably not even right.
so well, oh, okay. There you go. That's a good idea.
What's that?
Shelley shared that she says she goes to STRS and asks them for the years of experience report. So
Oh,
maybe STRS would know years of experience. Mm,
okay.
Let's see. I can't, it won't allow me to.
And is that what you would put basically the same number? You put the same number in authorized and total?
Well, it authorized is for all teachers reported with position codes 212, 230. So if she ever had any other position that didn't use those position codes, now the total is the one that you add everything together. So, but you know what? Let me see if I can, again, years of experience, that would be on the CI record. I don't think I was on the CI record, but, or was I? Okay. So authorized teaching years is 5. And it explains authorized experiencing, how you would come up with authorized. And that's on page 5 into 6 of the manual. And
Okay.
then let's see for total. I'm sorry, I'm going fast. I don't want to,
No,
totals on
that's
page 10. I know you'd think they put the experience together, but hello. Okay. Total experience, and it goes into page 11 and how to report those. So the total, this is the one I did tell you about. Like I read all these down.
uh-huh.
I didn't do anything for authorized. So I'm going to go back up to authorize, which was page 5. Should be updated. Okay. This element should be reported for all teachers reported position. Okay. It is extremely important to update this element each year. The number of employees should be the same for both staff and course. Authorized teaching years should be updated. Got that. For example, got that. They have to at least work 100 days to get a year. Teachers must be employees of regular or substitute teacher in elementary or secondary instruction. Okay. Authorized teaching years include teaching service in the following Ohio entities. So this is only public schools, non-public schools, ESCs, community schools, or special education. No college. See, authorized, I'm sorry, total included the college, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, total. Well, but it does not total. Yeah, total is everything together. Authorized is teaching in the school in the not postgraduate work, or whatever you call
Right.
it. I say so. Yeah, that's where you're going to have to find out. And it goes into some more. It references ORC codes. So I highly suggest in that you get that link and you read up on it, because I don't want to tell you what you should put in there and be wrong, and then you come back at me.
Wow.
I mean, well, I could be fired. Did I? Okay, maybe you can. So, okay. Angela says, I have a teacher that came from another state. So would it still work to get years of experience from STRs? No, it wouldn't, because they wouldn't contribute to STRS. So I also suggest with you, Angela, you look at this and read this through so you can calculate how many years you would, to get that, to give them for each element there. So Bree says STRS would only show experience teaching Ohio. Yeah. So yeah. STRS wouldn't be able to give you the whole number. Okay. I have two that taught in Florida and at least one from West Virginia.
You gotta get that from the employee,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, that's probably gonna be on the employee. And when the superintendent hire them, did they not, like I said, it'd be great if they made notes on the resume, like hired them with X amount of years, and then you would read through and.
It says in the manual on your screen
Mhm.
that districts may include the following
Oh.
authorized teaching years.
Right here.
Teaching in public or non-public schools outside of Ohio. You don't have to include that in authorized.
There you go.
It's optional.
Yeah, it's optional if you want to include outside, which I think you could, because it is teaching.
You could, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So-
It's at your discretion.
Yeah, you just have to be consistent, maybe have it in writing how you're gonna handle that. You always gonna include outside of Ohio or never include. If you do for one, you do for all the rest. So that's something that you have to decide as a treasurer. So, any other questions? You guys are doing really good.
Yeah.
I have a curiosity question.
Yes, you can have my position.
Negative.
Oh, damn.
Does everybody increment years of experience for classified staff?
Not required.
It's not required. I do it here to help me keep track of when like for vacation, you work so many years, you get your 3 weeks, more years, 4 weeks. It helps me keep track of that, but
Okay,
oh,
gotcha.
Jody
I didn't
Stapleton said that they do because the auditors asked them to.
Auditors. Who's that?
Ain't that the truth, Jenny? They're always changing moving the goalposts for us.
Well, I feel like I used to, and then when I found out I didn't have to, I stopped, and now I'm
Yeah.
wishing I kept it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. I mean, I knew it would be a job for you, but if that's, see, I don't know how big your district is. I'm sorry. To maybe try to work on that a little bit here and there. So next year when you increment, I mean, you do what you want. I'm just spitballing here. So,
I see Angela's response too, and we have it on a spreadsheet as well.
oh, okay. Okay. So, yeah, I got a couple people who do it. So they just keep it on a spreadsheet, but they don't do it in USPS. Okay, yeah. And Katie, you're following the rules just like it says in this manual. They have to do that 120 days. I mean, because that's what retirement does too. That's why people retire December 31st if you're a 260 employee, because now you're getting credit for a year, even though you didn't work it. So this is good dialogue, guys. You're doing wonderful. I love it.
If they have it on a spreadsheet, if they import that,
Yeah, it's true. If you have it on a spreadsheet, you could probably import that
you update that.
to update those fields for these people.
And then going forward, they'll be able to add it.
Then going forward, like Lori says, you'll be able to increment for them.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Jenny. Anybody else? Anything?
I have a question,
Sure.
and I apologize if you addressed this earlier. I had to step away from the desk for a bit. It's regarding ELC staff. Are those for the 21st Century Grant? Are those supposed to be reported to EMIS, or are districts not reporting them because it's a separate grant?
I'm not sure what ELC is. Is that a newer grant I'm not familiar with?
This is an after-school program that some districts have. We have it here. It's a separate grant that pays for staffing specifically for before and after school programs, as well as summer programs for early childhood education.
And you're receiving grant money to
Yes.
pay them?
Yes, the district is not paying, the grant is paying for.
But is
their
it being
salaries.
funneled through, it's being funneled through the district though?
Correct.
It receives the money and in turn spends it, just like any other grant, really. It's
Right.
just like any of your other grants. My first inclination is to say, yes, you have to report them because they are being paid through a grant.
Mhm.
That's my first thing in my mind.
Anybody else on
It,
the round table have an opinion?
I honestly do not know. You might have to reach out to your EMIS coordinator and ask them that. They
That's
don't know.
why I'm asking you.
Oh, okay. My first
Not
thought,
clear.
my first thought is truly to report them to EMIS, because and correct me if I'm wrong, Missy, that it would be maybe considered as a supplemental because it's not their full-time job, right? I mean, you're using your existing staff to staff this after school and before school program.
And it's bus drivers and cooks also are charged to this grant when they perform duties for this program.
Okay.
It's our regular staff, but they have a separate timesheet. It's tracked differently. It's paid out of a whole separate account.
With that, then I would think it would be it would be reportable to EMIS.
Okay.
I think it would be a
Separate compensation for that?
You have separate compensations for this, or are you doing?
Nope, separate compensation, separate pay accounts.
Yeah. So I would say yes, you have to report them.
Okay.
Because I mean, this is where my thought process is coming from, and treasurers who might be on this, chime in with this on this. You get grants for different things to pay in the school district to teach, to provide services, to do things, and you report anybody that's being paid with that grant, providing those services, you report them to EMIS. So, I understand this grant is specific for before and after school, but it's still a grant, and yes, they're paying for it, but Buckeye Local applied for the grant, received the grant, and now they're just using the grant. So I think they would be reported to EMIS because of all that. It's just like any other grant.
Okay, thank
I
you.
mean, you're welcome. I mean, Kim, Kathy, those are the first two treasurers I see. Denise, you're on there. And I'm sorry if I missed any other treasurers because I don't see all the names in the same place. What do you have thoughts on that? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, please. I don't have all the answers, and I'd appreciate any input you can give me. Or Bree.
I don't have the 21st century grant, so I kind of, to tell you the truth, wasn't paying attention. So, but
Thanks, Kim.
sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
We have the 21st century grant, but it's through our ESC, so they handle all that.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, and I know we had applied for it, and ours would have been through the ESC too, but we didn't get they didn't give it to us, so I haven't had to worry about it. But it was going to be through the ESC also.
Okay. Denise, I don't know if she's still on here, but are you familiar with this grant, or if you have any thoughts on how you would handle that? Like as a treasurer, like I said, you get grants, you get your Title 6B, you get your Title I, you get all these grants, and they are spelled out at what they're supposed to be used for. So, and the money comes to you as a district to use to pay out to those people, so I would think that you would report them to EMIS because it's along the same lines.
I would agree with you. I mean,
Okay.
like Title I, I mean, you do it, so why would it be any different?
Yeah. So, and Denise just put in there, she would, yes, report to EMIS.
I am I'm no longer with 21st Century, but in my old life as the ESC treasurer, I did report our 21st Century people to EMIS.
Oh, great. Thanks, Nan. I missed your name. I'm so sorry.
Okay, I like to be hidden.
Oh, we don't want
Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome. That was a great question, Bree. Thank you so much. Okay, so we reported it. Okay, thanks, Andrew. Andrew even said the federal grants they get to pay teachers during the school day, they reported to EMIS, so we feel it's kind of along the same.
There's a question from Vicky.
From Vicky, let's see. Oh, if filling out timesheets, would they report our paraprofessionals complete timesheet, report them as, yeah, Vicky, your question was if they fill out timesheets, would they report to EMIS? Are you talking about Bree, or were you referencing something different? give her a second, see if she'll reply. Grant reporting to EMIS. If they're being paid through EMIS for things like your normal people, teaching aides, those types of any support staff that's paid out of that grant, I would think you would pay to EMIS. It doesn't matter if they're a contractor or a timesheet or not. They're being paid out of that grant for a service. It's just irregular hours. They don't have a set contract amount. That's my thought. So, anybody else? You guys, this has been a wonderful roundtable going over this. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your participation. This was my goal when I thought of this, was to just get together Zoom, not take too much of your time, no traveling, just get out there and kind of discuss maybe things that people are struggling with. Try to be timely about it. EMIS, we're starting a new school year, therefore starting a new the staff collection. And I just think you guys I just love it. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. So anything else? I mean,
We'll be doing more of these.
yeah, we will be doing more of these. For some of you who aren't aware, Missy's doing one on ESS tips and tricks. We again at OME-RESA, that was one of our presentations that we went to. She's going to share with you what we learned there. If you haven't signed up and you need to CEU, well, you need to sign up to get the link, but register. Please feel free. Is it closed?
But tell them send us a ticket. We'll get
Yeah,
it.
if you send us a ticket and you want to, because you want to attend, we'll make sure that you get the Zoom link and documentation this time. Hopefully it will work this time. We have coming up on October 17th, we have our user group, our fall user group. We're having the same gentleman, Tyler, who did on cybersecurity. He's going to put on another presentation, like above and beyond what he did before, like diving deeper in this day and age. We've had an employee, one of our users, we got an email a ticket, I should say, while we were at OME-RESA, and it was just a Google thing with a spreadsheet, no text, nothing, and it was weird. What it said, it didn't say to F staff or anything. So obviously we were suspicious. We reached out to the person by phone and found out their email was hacked. So thank goodness we've been trained here doing these things. You just don't click on anything. So we highly recommend that one.
And that user group will be available in person and Zoom. So if you can't attend in person, I encourage you to attend in Zoom because he's very interesting. The last time he did a presentation for us, we were like all wowed. And he's got another section to this to dive deeper into AI and the good and bad of it. So we're really encouraging everyone to please attend because it's so important now.
Yes. So, and then also coming up, we have, and it's limited seating because we try to be centrally located, that overtime law. We have what's her name, Missy? Is it Robin?
No, give me a minute.
She's going to look it up.
Renee,
I'm sorry. I knew I had the R right, but she's from an HR, an outside company, giving you information on the legal side, not what's going on in the SSDT software, but at least the legal side of it and what we're responsible for and how to handle it, legally. I think that's going to be a phenomenal it's not a round table, it's actually a training. So that's something we want to encourage you to sign up. We won't have a Zoom meeting for that, but we will be recording it. So if you cannot make it, we'll try to remember to send out an email that recording's out there.
or we'll send the recording to everyone.
Well, I don't know how big it will be, so we might not be able to email it to you directly, just maybe a link to the recording. So if you're unable to make it or it's filled up, like again, there's limited seats there. We encourage you. And we're looking at something on November 21st, another round table. We're kind of bouncing around ideas. We're trying to be aware of what's going on in our lives at that time, right? In the treasurer's office, which is why we're doing that overtime thing on the 20th. I don't know if we should do a USAS, something else, payroll, maybe W-2
Suggestions as well.
corrections. You want to send a suggestion to us, you're more than welcome. This is something we're trying to gear up, having more trainings on different subjects to make them short dose that we don't take up all your day with traveling and everything. You can sit, Zoom, and take care of it. So we would appreciate any feedback, any suggestions on topics, anything like that. So with that, does anybody have any more questions? Please feel free. So, all right, I don't see any messages in chat. Kim, did you have something to say?
It doesn't have to do with this, but I have some payroll information, or I had some payroll questions.
Uh-huh.
Is there any way we could possibly get together sometime today?
Yes,
It
I
has
think
to
we
do
should.
with the distributions, and I know we've had this conversation before, and I have an issue.
Okay, is it a basic question? Because I don't mind doing it in front of everybody who might be able to pick up on something, unless it's something
Okay, no,
specific.
it's okay. So I was typing an email, and I'm like, this is going to get confusing. So
Okay.
I was working on our life insurance bill,
Okay.
and I saw that there was a few adjustments that needed to be made on the employer side of stuff.
Okay.
And I know we had talked before, and you said it's better to make the adjustments in USPS before we transfer it over to USAS for a purchase order.
Okay.
Correct?
Well, I don't remember that. Lori, what did you find out? Lori just had something similar
Well, this
to this.
goes back a few months with you.
Oh, well, that explains a lot. I don't remember what I had for dinner last night, Kim.
Yeah. So
kidding.
I know Lindy had asked, and I think it was Lori that responded. And so Lindy had thought she made the adjustments and payables adjustments. She did she chose the person, she made the adjustments. But this morning when she went and processed the life insurance and brought it over to USAS and created a purchase order, it's the original amount. So now
Right.
I'm like, I don't know if those payables adjustments were in there, or if they weren't in there, or if they were in there, why didn't they get processed? And now I don't know what to do.
Okay. So the payables adjustments in the outstanding payables grid only affect the payments you are processing from that grid. So,
which that's what we wanted.
But you do not create payments for employer shares. So you didn't adjust the payment in the outstanding payables grid. So when you go into process, make the payments for your outstanding payables, your deductions, anything that's employer does not actually process a payment. It doesn't assign a check number. It doesn't do any of that. All it really does is get it off your grid, which I highly recommend that. I highly recommend that.
What creates the purchase order?
Okay, so when you do employer distribution, it's based solely on that payroll. So once you posted that payroll and you get to a point you can't unpost it, you cannot change the outcome of your employer distribution at that point. So whatever it was when you posted that payroll, that is how it's going to process as an employer distribution. So you have to send it over, the file over to USAS, create the purchase order, and adjust the purchase order.
Okay, so I can adjust the purchase order.
Yes, absolutely.
There was something that we had done in.
Something does need to be done on the payroll side though, too.
Which Lindy said she went into core
Yep.
adjustments and put some stuff in there to adjust like the month to date, quarter date, and year to date stuff. Is that right?
That is correct. She needed to make an adjustment on the employer employer withheld. So say you withheld $5 for life insurance for the employer side, she would go in and deduct $5 from that employer share.
I see it says board amount of payroll item, and
there you go. for an amount of payroll. I don't have it in front of me, so I don't have the exact words. But you want to reduce how much you withheld, you withheld on her behalf on that payroll, and then you want to reduce the total gross and the applicable gross for that same payroll item. The best thing you can use though is that payables report that you have that shows how much was withheld for this employee. Should have all that information on that report. So you're going to do a negative whatever was withheld for her, a negative for the applicable gross, a negative for the total gross. And if it was withheld this month and you're correcting it this month, you will check all the boxes, month to date, quarter to date, fiscal year to date, and year to date. And it will fix all those totals. Because
So
that
we
stuff
did
goes
that.
on your W-2s.
Wonder what we did though before that we were able to make an adjustment before we brought it over to USACs.
If you were able to unpost your payroll, you may have fixed it and posted it again, which would have corrected your employer distribution.
Okay.
Okay.
And then here I have one other scenario.
Okay.
And if people don't want to hear our goof stuff, then
okay.
Go ahead. So I have another employee. She was supposed to start insurance 9/1. And we have this online self-service thing now. We go through Stark County Cog. It's called Plan Source. So she goes on and creates her account, and she chose family insurances for everything.
Okay.
And then we had asked her did you upload your spousal certification? Because we have to do that. And she came back and said, no, I didn't. But I'll just go back to single because my husband has insurance. Well, it was after we had already processed both of our payrolls in September and withheld for family.
Okay.
So now we have she overpaid.
Okay.
Which I think Lindy asked you, and you had replied that even though October is a new month, new quarter, that type of thing, that we should probably just wait and process the refund to her in October.
Yeah, it can be done. But you keep that in mind when you go to balance that quarter. If you're off on those payroll items, just keep track of, oh, wait, yeah, I had to make refund in this quarter for something that was withheld last quarter, if it affects your balancing. Some things do and some things don't. It's weird.
Okay, because we had already filed all of our tax returns and stuff
Yeah.
too, so we just wanted to wait.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pain because it did cross the quarter, but at least we didn't cross the calendar year. So,
Okay.
So
now when I go to pay our bill, she hasn't created any of the checks, but I'm assuming we're going to have to pay whatever was withheld from her, correct?
Well, you want to pay what the bill says. So if the bill includes her with the family plan payment?
No, it doesn't. It only has her single plan.
Okay.
But we withheld
the family,
and that payable is sitting out there as a family plan.
Right. So this is what I would do. Go into your outstanding payables, 5th tab, payables adjustments, and reduce. You only need to do the employee share. Reduce the employee share for that by how much she overpaid. And you always verify before you just post a payment. When you check the box just for that payroll item, or if there's 2 that go together for it, make sure that the amount before you hit post equals what the bill is for the employee share. Like, know what that employee share should be so you can balance that. And then process the payment. But what's going to happen is you're going to reduce that payment to them, which is great. But when you refund her the money, you've already taken off the extra. So it's going to put a negative in that payables grid. So you're going to want to go in and do a payables adjustment for a positive amount so the payment's not shorted again. So the only thing I recommend highly is you do that one maybe separately when you do all this. So you make sure you're charging off the right amount. Now, your insurance, you'll probably have to, not probably, when you go to on the payroll item to enter the error adjustment, make sure you enter an employer error adjustment too, because we don't want that to show as a benefit she actually didn't receive when W-2 time comes.
Do you understand all that?
So does that make sense?
Would we be able to do like a separate
Call?
Yeah, it's just so
Absolutely.
Wendy understands exactly where she's putting stuff in.
Absolutely. We can. I'll do a Zoom with you that I could share. We could share screens and everything.
Okay, that would be
Okay.
awesome. Yes,
All
You
right.
sound just like me, Kim. I always have to do the same thing.
Oh my gosh. And this is so confusing and
It
I'm
is so
trying to learn
confusing
how.
to me too. Am I wrong, Miss Melissa? I always have to do the same thing. It's like you're gonna have to call and walk me
Yeah,
through this
that's fine.
because it is so hard to follow that in my mind.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Yes. And Missy and I sometimes feel that way. Like we're visual people. We need to look too. So that's why when you say you do stuff, we go in and do exactly what you told us you did, because I need to visually see what you're saying.
Yeah.
You know?
Gotcha.
So we do the same thing. So Missy has a question.
No, I don't have it actually has to do with your situation, Kim. And when we do the Zoom, I will throw this out there and see if this might be one, if we process something in a little bit different order, it might shorten one of the steps they have to do.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, Kim, put a ticket in though, please. So, we can track it. We like to keep track of those because it's hard, and people think, and I never mean this to sound like a smart alecky remark, but when I say I don't remember something, I've had a couple tickets. You remember last May you were helping me do something? I'm like, no, I don't. I mean, because let me put this in perspective. And Missy, correct me if I'm wrong. The fiscal department in one fiscal year or calendar year, how did he do that?
Calendar.
In a calendar year, the fiscal department took over 3,500 tickets. There's 4 of us. So when you say, remember, I'm going to say, nope. But what I do is I have past tickets, or at least 90-day tickets, and I do it by district. If I took the ticket, I can go back through and look at all the tickets I took for your district to try to find it, so I can kind of read up on, okay, what is she talking about? What did I tell her to do? I don't even remember what I told her to do. So please be patient with us. I'm sorry. No,
you're fine.
I'm getting old, Kim. I can't remember anything anymore.
Me too.
I just can't.
And that just brings up one other little point. I know we're kind of off topic, but that's okay because that's what this is for. Yeah, when we ask you to put in a ticket, that's also just to, not saying we won't call you or won't do Zoom. That's just to keep count too. Like Melissa said, Adam, our director, keeps track of how many tickets each department takes versus how many staff members are in that department to justify that we have 4 people in this department. So we have to keep count of every single problem we address.
Right. So it also, but as a sub of that, what I just said, Kim, about if I ever have to look back on what I said, you know what I mean? Like I have something to refer back to so I can read through. Yeah, or if I'm not here, actually, that's true. If I'm out on vacation, I hit the lottery and I said, sayonara, I'm out of here. These guys can go back to my older tickets, find it, and kind of read through what the situation was, what I told you to do. We make private notes. Like when we call you, we put in a private note that this is what we discussed. This is what I told you to do. It's more for us than anything, like, what did I do? I can't remember. So
so whenever you guys have time.
Okay, I will reach out to you when we're ready, but put the ticket in and then we'll schedule something, okay?
Okay, thank you.
So
You're
with that
welcome.
being said, if we have like 2 or 3 things, do you want us to put a ticket in for each thing individually, or can I put a ticket in for like 3 things that I want to talk about?
We prefer them to be kept separate because of sometimes we have called reporting tags that we attach to tickets, and you might have a question on payroll and the ESS for it. Well, we have a tag for payroll and I have a tag for ESS.
Okay.
So if I go to look for one, you know what I mean? For ESS, you ask, oh, I just want to follow up on, okay, ESS. So if they're different issues, we prefer different tickets. So we can
Okay.
search better for like keywords and such too. So, but thanks for that question. It was a very good question, Denise. Thank you.
Has anybody submitted their forecast yet?
I haven't even started on my forecast.
I
yet.
have. This is Kayla Whitlatch. I did yesterday actually.
So, are we still, and this might be a question for OME-RESA, are we still going through the data collector for that?
Yes.
Because I did get something that said we don't have to go through the data collector from somebody. I don't remember who.
Yeah, I saw
File
that email.
editor.
Yeah, I saw that email yesterday about doing that, but I did the exact steps we've always done in the past and had no problem.
Okay, so I was curious about that. And I was like, am I still doing it the same way? Because ours was board approved at the last meeting and I'm ready to upload it and I wanted to make sure.
I believe, Denise, somebody said something to us at OEDSA last week that it's the flat file editor it doesn't have to go through anymore.
You know what? I beg your pardon. It is the flat file editor.
Yes.
So we don't have to do any of that.
They said that at our OETSA training that they're eliminating the flat file editor. However, this came from someone who was not SSDT. So I wanted to reach out to SSDT and verify that before I sent anything out. And I will do that as soon as we get off this call. Kayla, did you use the flat file editor?
I did. I did the normal steps that we always had,
Yes.
and I had no problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had another district submit and they did use the flat file editor also. So I know it doesn't hurt to do that. I need a confirmation that yes, you can eliminate that before I will say that for sure.
Yeah, I guess it's an email that says they've experienced 2 ITCs who do not appear to have been on the new format. And when they tried to do it through the flat file editor, it didn't work. So I guess I wanted to make sure before I tried and ran into problems.
Now, I will say, because that came from Chris, did that come from Chris yesterday or the
I
day
think
before?
it did,
Okay.
yeah.
There's-
out to treasures or something.
Yeah, so for him, you're still submitting year 5, so you're gonna have to make sure your your letters match up to the corresponding columns because the file is in a different format than it used to be from him. So like it used to be column A was, the prior year or the line item, but it's now like E. So just make sure those line up, but there's a K clear at the top in the drop down, and that'll have to go for year 5. Like so that because otherwise it's going to give you an error. And so that's in the data collector. Like where you line up the flat file editor. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
If she's writing notes, I wanted to make sure she wrote it right.
Yeah, so that clear at the how it goes A, B, C, D all the way through. There's a K clear above A, and you would put that for year 5, and it accepts it.
So K above A?
Yes, like for year 5, because there's K obviously in the alphabet, but there's a K above the letter A, and you select that K, and it'll accept it for year 5.
All right, I'll have to check that.
Kayla,
yes.
Would you be willing to log into your flat file editor and get a snapshot of just those letters, how you did it?
Absolutely.
And then we can share it with the
That would be great.
Yeah, I will send that over to you.
Show that, yeah. So,
yeah.
Because like we said, Denise, visual. We need a visual.
Yeah,
Yep, I will do that right now.
Thank you,
because
Kayla.
this whole
You're
thing of this whole thing of submitting a 3 and then we still do a 5 and how it's going to upload and making sure it's uploaded correctly. I'm just a little confused by that.
Yeah. So you guys have, I have a tear in my eye. I'm so happy. You guys have been wonderful.
Who did
Anything
I
else?
say that email was from? Would I have gotten it too?
I believe it was from Chris Moore
Chris
from the
Moore.
forecasting
Oh,
that we use.
I don't have that, so that's why. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Anything you want to discuss? I mean, if you guys are coming tomorrow, there'll be probably a little bit of time after that if you think of something you want to bring up after that presentation.
There is something, and Lori was kind of helping me on a ticket with this, but I don't know if everybody else might have a question about it too. But I was a little bit confused by an email that I got from Adam regarding SC View and USAS account permissions.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually talking or going back and forth, I think it was with Lori or Aaron, I'm not sure, about that. And because I just had an account set up for my new auditor, and he had sent this email out to everybody about putting an ext.name and ext password field being blank.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the way I read that was if we leave those blank, individuals are able to, in SC View, at least the way I read it, able to make changes to things.
No.
Maybe I read it incorrectly. I guess where I read that was why this matters. SC View applies restrictions based on how accounts are created locally, not just in USA, not just on privileges. Completing the name password enforces filters. And then it said, I'm trying to find where it said it. User accounts with read only have write access in USAS based on account authentication process. An example, a user with write only access can post a receipt in SC View, which then can be processed in USAS.
Denise,
So I'm confused.
but if what it's really saying is the user in SC View, whatever access you give them, that they'll be able to do that in USAS. Now, like, say you had somebody you just wanted to enter requisitions and they were, I don't know, the football coach, I don't know, and you give them a filter. For the filter to work, you have to have the username and USAS in that EXT username field. Because SC View doesn't utilize filters.
Right. So the way this reads to me, though, it says a user with USAS read-only access.
Yes.
So if I gave my auditor in USAS read-only access,
yes,
it says they can post a receipt in SC View.
If they have access to post a receipt in SC View, that access has to be there in SC View.
So if I'm giving them read only in SC View as well,
you're fine.
Then I'm okay.
Correct. Yes. SC View is where, that's what it's saying, that it doesn't matter what kind of access you give them in USAS. It's the access in SC View that's going to control it.
Okay.
Because so you can have read-only access in USAS. However, in SC View, you can give them full-blown access in SC View and to do anything they want. And that's your right. And it will post over to USAS. Now,
So in order to change that, when I'm in SC View, in the FIS column, according to his little screenshot, what do I put when it says the EXT name and EXT password?
the
What
EXT,
goes,
the EXT name would be their username that is in USAS.
their USAS?
Yes, because what it's good, what SC View will do is SC View will see there's an EXT name. It's going to reach out to USAS to find that name. When it finds that name, it's then going to look to see, does that user have any filters on it? If it has filters, then it's going to take that back into SC View and only allow that person to see those accounts that are in your filter.
Okay, so in those fields, for instance, mine would just be Denise Ketchum.
Yes,
That's all I put there.
that's
And
your
then the
username.
password.
Now for password, the password is a little glitchy to me because you would have to put the actual password that you have in USAS in there. And the only thing that that's going to change is when SC View posts stuff over to USAS, it is going to place that username in the audit trail. So currently, Denise, if you go in and do something in SC View and it comes over to USAS and I run an audit trail on it, it's only going to show the username as SC View.
Not the individual who did it in SC View.
Correct. That is correct. The only way to get that name in USAS's audit trail is to have the extension, the EXT name and the EXT password. That will make it give a trail in USAS. However, again, it's been said that SC View keeps that audit trail.
Okay. Yeah, I think they do. I think I've seen that.
Yeah, and I'm not a user of SC Views, so I can't really say that, but that's what we've been told. That's how it works. It doesn't matter what you give them in USAS. It's the authority that you give them in SC View.
Okay, that makes more sense. It just didn't go that far in that sentence. It just stopped at USAS read only can go into SC View, change it in SC View, and then it just goes over to USAS and gets changed. And I'm like, oh, well, that's not good.
Right, exactly. No, it is totally reliant on SC View's access.
That makes more sense to me. And then I was thinking, well, maybe it's because I have to put something in those fields. And if that's the case, I will. I just need to know what exactly needs to go in those fields.
No, you do not. Like I said in the ticket, if you want to filter what they can see, then you have to have that username in that EXT field.
Right. That makes more sense to me then.
Okay.
All right, that's perfect. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Anybody else with any other questions? Any clarifications on anything? Okay. So I hope you guys felt that you got something out of this training. If you want to send us a ticket or an email to let us know what you like, what you didn't like, suggestions for future roundtable trainings like this, please let us know. I mean, we're trying to do our best. We just, unfortunately, right when we get somebody trained, Bree, and we have to hire someone new. So now we're starting from scratch, just like you do. So we're doing our best to do that and to get trainings out there. So please feel free. Just don't be too mean. You'll hurt my feelings. So thank you, Jenny. I try my best. And thank you. You're welcome, Andrew. So thank you guys so much. We hope you have a wonderful day and a fantastic weekend coming up. Take care.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Kayla.
You're welcome.